Hit the music. So, Josh, who's
Hello.
your name? Overrated, underrated trade target. You've been scouring the cap-friendly pages, team roster pages.
Just like all of us.
Yes.
We're all sickos.
Yes.
I'm all aboard the Casey Middlestat train.
Okay.
He's on the Casey Middlestat.
But also,
We're
Nick
just like
Schmaltz-
making it up that a 25-year-old two-way centerman that leads his team in scoring is going to be available in
Yeah.
trade, right?
If you believe it hard enough, it will happen.
Yeah.
But also Nick Schmaltz and Pavel Buchnevich.
Buchnevich is the guy I like on the wing. Has another year. But I don't know about Schmaltz. Is he also going to be available? Like, why would the Coyotes trade him?
He's been really
all,
good.
All three of those teams, though, are both on Buffalo
Yeah.
a little less, but they're all kind of around the playoff picture. But I think if Arizona and St. Louis fall out of it, then those guys go.
Well, I mean, they're going to need some stars to sell in the new city they're going to be playing in next year.
Oh, very well said.
Is Nick Schmaltz a star? Hold on. What are we selling here?
Well, what else do they have?
Yeah.
Like Nick Bugstad? Come on. I do believe,
though, you know.
I do believe it with the St. Louis Blues, where Doug Armstrong in the past has traded even when he's in a playoff race, so to speak. So it wouldn't be out of his track records. It wouldn't be out of the norm for him to do something like that. But anyways, overrated, underrated. Let's get to it.
The first one, Ernest, trading away potential UFAs before the playoffs. Overrated or underrated?
Well, I mean, underrated because you have options. Not that you want to take advantage of all of them.
Yeah.
But you have some really underrated values. So if you wanted to get like creative, right? Like we mentioned before, let's say that you want to add a forward and a defenseman. Well, you could move one of your defensemen who's going to be UFA, whether it's a guy you just acquired as Zadorov, whether it's Myers. Both would have some value, right?
Yeah.
You could move them if you wanted to. And up front, not that you would do it, but I mean, you could flip a Dakota Joshua if you really want. Not that you would do it again, like UFA. I'm just talking about values. I think they're underrated assets. Now, I don't think they're going to move a lot of them. You know, like that's the thing. So they're underrated in terms of practicality. Actually executing trades on them, probably less likely.
The idea of the Canucks trading away one of their unrestricted free agents is it's hard for me to see that happening. I'll say that much.
I could see a D-man if they can get Tanev, for instance. An example. I'm just giving you an example.
You'd have to probably move Myers first or somebody just to get the money off the book so that way you can go out and acquire Tanev. But
Or just Zadorov.
again, they went out and got Zadorov. Could they flip him in a couple of months? I guess if the fit just like feels like it's not really there, then maybe you say, yeah, we tried, we liked the player, but there just wasn't really a fit here.
And
but
again, I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying.
It just seems unlikely. So I would say overrated because it would definitely be something that is outside of what we've seen in Vancouver Canucks history.
This one from Fused Asteroid, trading for Trevor Zegras. Overrated or underrated?
Overrated.
Yeah, I have to agree. Overrated. I think for Vancouver, overrated. I think for a different team, it could be underrated.
Yeah.
But just for their situation. Like, it's like you have to trade some big assets, and you're doing it for a bit of a project.
Mm-hmm. I'm out on selfish players, Sat.
Oh, wow. Poor Trevor Zegras.
I mean,
is he selfish?
He's got a bit of a reputation. He's young enough that he can still develop and mature a little bit, but I just, I have a hard time getting behind that. We've seen enough that you've got to do some sacrificing to be able to play winning hockey, and I'm not sure Trevor Zegras has learned that lesson yet.
Yet is the operative word.
Yeah, it's fair.
Chef Swagger, load management in the NHL. Overrated or underrated?
Underrated. Doesn't happen enough. The Canucks have the luxury with 7 defensemen that are very capable with the way Noah Juleson has come along. And the fact that they're sitting with 57 points on the season, they can load manage a few of their defensemen. And they did that with Ian Cole.
I love the idea. I think the idea is underrated. Because of the way NHL rosters are constructed, it's not all that realistic.
They're doing it right now.
I mean, yeah, they did it with Ian Cole.
Yeah.
Are you going to be sitting JT Miller for a game?
No.
And
maybe near the end of the year if you aren't
know,
fighting for position.
it's like, yeah, we'll sit JT Miller so that we can play Linus Karlsson. I don't know. Probably not going to happen. You know what I mean? I guess when, rosters expand a little bit towards the end of the regular season, you can do a little bit more of it, but for the most part, it's very hard to do given the NHL roster restrictions.
I do think load management for players like Ian Cole or like older guys who you're going to need in the playoffs who aren't superstars, I think that's underrated.
Yeah.
Next one from Austin in Langley, extending Tyler Myers at over $3 million per year.
I'd say thank you for 5 years in Vancouver. A lot of fun, a lot of chaos, and proud of how you found your game and regained your game in your final season in Vancouver. I wish you all the luck in your future endeavors and all the money you're making elsewhere.
What if I said it to you this way, Seth? A right shot defenseman who plays 20 minutes a night on the penalty kill, is 6'8", can bear down the wing and rip a slap shot at 94 miles an hour and beat Ilya Sorokin clean, one of the best goalies in the league. Would you be interested in this player at over $3 million?
If you put it that way, it's usually you say yes, right? Like, so I get it. I get what you're saying. But the journey with Tyler Myers is seldom so simple, right? And, for all the good we're seeing, we're also seeing the valleys. There's a peak. There's also a valley. And there are many valleys with the journey you take with Tyler Myers, right? Now, I will say this. Like, for people dismissing him as even consideration, I mentioned, something like, hey, would you do it for $2.5 million? And maybe they would just dismiss that as being disrespectful or whatever. But that's a number I think, for me, it'd be a no-brainer. So you only make it 2.5, like whatever, great. He can make a lot more than that elsewhere.
Myers is still going to be worth $4 million.
Yep.
Like Radko Gudas got $4 million. How does Tyler Myers not get $4 million?
Yeah. I mean, maybe slightly less.
Yeah.
But it's $3.5 to $4 million. That's the range, right? That's kind of the range he finds himself in.
Higher cap too next year.
And there are no righties. And honestly, you look at his production, like he's not too far off what Drew Doughty is doing this year offensively. And you look at where the points are coming from. He gets to the end of the year, he's on pace for like 32 points.
Yeah.
If he hits 30 points as a righty defenseman, that, believe it or not, as a right-hand defenseman, that kind of ranks in the top half of production for righty defensemen in the league, which is pretty astounding because there's so few of them. So there's a real scarcity to what he brings. It's just, I don't want to get into it too late into the 30s,